Business news from the Capital Region. This is Washington Business Report with ABC7 national correspondent Rebecca Cooper.
Welcome to your weekly look at the people and issues driving the economy and impacting your wallet. Coming up on today's show, one small business driving growth by doing good. We'll talk to the brain trust behind a successful startup helping charities raise big money. And in our roundtable, investors were already nervous about international instability when the president said the White House has no strategy for dealing with ISIL. But Americans, he said, should feel good about the economy. We break it all down with two of the best minds in business. But first, you've heard his voice for years on your radio, but do you know the full story behind the diamond in the rough who became a business gem? Ronnie Mervis credits his success in leading Mervis diamond importers to facing down any obstacles, from economic downturns to bad blood about blood diamonds and more. This week we go one-on-one with Ronnie Mervis to talk about how he makes his business shine. Ronnie Mervis, welcome to Washington Business Report. Thanks for joining us. So you've become such an iconic voice in the Washington market, but tell us about your family background, how your family got started in the jewelry business.
My family's been in the jewelry business in South Africa since the early 1930s. And as kids, we grew up in the business knowing all about it, and somehow it was in our blood. We like to kid about the fact that there's one thing that every Mervis child knows from the moment of birth, and that's about diamonds. I think it comes out through the mother's milk, and it's in there somehow. So it's a natural sequitur that somewhere or other we're going to be in the diamond business, and we're going to make a success of it.
Who started the Mervises in the diamond business? Who was the original?
The original was my father, who's since passed on. He started it in 1935, somewhere around there.
What did his father do?
You know, my father was an orphan. He never knew his parents. His parents died when he was under the age of 2, and he is a self-made man. Was is a better word. He was a self-made man who raised himself from absolutely nothing, no advantage, no real education. He arrived in South Africa as a young stowaway, which is what he was telling us.
From where? From
Lithuania, Eastern Europe, ahead of the Nazi rise in Europe. He was one of the smart ones who just had a sense of what was going on. And when he arrived in South Africa as a young boy, almost teenager, with nothing, no English, no education, no shirt on his back, to perhaps overstate the proverbial, he just got going, and he had a tremendous amount of drive, a huge amount of intelligence, a need to make it and survive. I was an attorney. Before I left, I was an attorney in Johannesburg, South Africa, also involved in the family business. My brother was a CPA, not so involved in the family business. But when we decided to set up and go out on our own, we said, to heck with all of that, it's diamonds.
It's diamonds.
We know how to make girls happy, it's diamonds.
So where was the first store?
Rockville, Maryland. We started off as wholesalers. We did that for a couple of years, many years, and we did it very successfully. And then we had a change of heart. We said we don't want to supply the trade and put our diamonds into the hands of others and rely on them to sell it, because they didn't really know what they were doing, and we felt that many of the retail stores in the trade were overpricing our merchandise and creating artificial blocks in the pipeline by being greedy. Like we say it on the radio, nobody pays retail anymore, why should you?
So the Business Journal was writing about you, Washington Business Journal, and they said anyone in a competitive market needs a USP. And I didn't even know what a USP is. And it's a unique selling proposition that makes you special. And they cited 3 iconic brands, and one of them was Mervis Jewelers. And that's your USP, that nobody pays retail, why should you?
Well, a diamond is not a logical purchase. It's a rational purchase, it's an emotional purchase, and we and everybody else need to recognize that. And I like to say, sometimes in a joking sense, but often I mean it literally, we're not really in the diamond business. We're in love, relationship, sex, happiness, lust, future, dreams, whatever.
Okay, so talk about South Africa, because it gives you in some ways instant credibility. People so much associate the world's great diamonds with South Africa. But then there was a period of time where, as diamonds being your primary business, you had to go on somewhat of a lobbying campaign and convince your customers that you were conflict-free diamonds.
There was a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, and it was called Blood Diamond. And it came out, and of course it was the Hollywood version of what was going on. And we knew it was coming, and we were concerned because just like the fur trade suffered, and in New York women wouldn't wear furs, and people had their backs spray painted because they were wearing furs. So we knew this was coming, and we went out on a pre-campaign. Before the movie came out, we said, this movie is coming out. We don't know exactly what it says, but we understand it portrays diamonds in a very negative light. We would just like the whole world to have some facts and some figures. Yes, there are conflict diamonds. They constitute about 0.5% of all the diamonds in the world. The other 98 or 99%, whatever it is, of diamonds at that time were conflict-free. And the so-called conflict diamonds or blood diamonds come from certain areas in Africa only, and we are not involved in those areas. That is not where our diamonds come from.
So throughout the years, you continued to grow.
Yes.
What do you attribute your success to?
I think the basic ingredient is very simple, and I don't know why everybody can't get it in every business. It is be straight, be honest, provide great quality, give a fair selection, be very reasonable with your pricing, and you don't have to be a genius. You know, marketing is great, but the best marketing in the world can't sell a bad product. 2.01 blue white diamond.
2.01 carats?
2.01 carats.
So just lastly, at the end of the day, what's the most beautiful piece of jewelry to you?
The most beautiful diamond is the prettiest diamond. Not necessarily one that'll go to a museum. Not necessarily so small that you can't see it. We like to find a balance. Find one that's got the best bling, if we can get a little common with the word. We want bling, we want brilliance, I want fire, excitement, scintillation, dispersion, everything that goes in it of a fine color. If there are minor inclusions or little imperfections that you can't see with your natural eye, so what?
Ronnie Mervis, and when we come back, our small business spotlight shines on what we all can learn from a tiny company raising top dollar for wounded warriors, Toys for Tots, and many more worthy causes. Stay with us.